I have one of those clocks at home that's too smart for its own good. It's programmed to change over automatically when we're supposed to fall back. Yeah. And its program said that last night was the night we were supposed to fall back and get that extra hour of sleep. So I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock feeling really, really rested, because even though my clock said 6 o'clock, it was actually 7. So when I realized it was already like 25 after 8. And I made a mad dash to get my clothes on and come out the door to get here on time, and left my notes on the printer. So, Denise, you're in good company today. I've been asked to talk with you about our stewardship program, and I want to tell you a few things along the way. If I take too long, just get the hook out and just grab me and I'll stop talking. Early in my term on the Children's Council, it became evident that we were going to have to do some money raising, some fundraising, to cover some of the projects that we felt were very important for the children. You might remember a campaign not long ago to raise money for new computers in the computer lab. This is what I'm talking about. Well, I was new to the Children's Council, and I was actually pretty new to Hilldale. And before I started talking money with anybody, I wanted to go and find out the way to do it. So I went to Bruce Myers and I asked him, as chair of the finance committee, what the procedure was for fundraising here at Hilldale. Told him what we wanted to do, gave him an estimate of our costs, and his response was something that I'll never forget. He looked at me and he said, "You know, I believe we can do this." I said, "Bruce, who is we?" Because I thought this was responsibility of the Children's Council. He said, "Hilldale." He said, "The Hilldale family, the Hilldale church, I believe we can do this. I believe we can come up with these funds." I said, "But Bruce, they're not budgeted. We were told we were going to have to come up with them separately." And he said, "The members of Hilldale are generous givers. When you give them a project, a need, a purpose, they always come through." And he was right. We have a lovely computer lab downstairs for the children. And I've seen you also come through for other projects, such as fuel and flood relief and vacation Bible school, and the list is just too numerous to mention. I loved the way he said what he said. He said, "I believe we can do this. I believe we can do this." We as a church family now are faced with a very big stewardship goal. As you've been hearing through the month of October, we have debts to pay off on this building. We have a beautiful building plan to look forward to. And we have to jump the hurdles and pay off the debts before we can get to the good things and build the new building, build the new additions. You've heard people speak about the benefits of tithing. I echo those benefits. I've been blessed in my life. You've heard people encourage you to increase your giving I can't say the word this morning, by increments. You've heard people ask for you to look for ways to sacrifice so that you can give to the Stewardship Fund. If you'll allow me 1 minute to give you some real life examples of the way people have done this, because this is a tough time for people to be coming up with extra money. This is a tough time for us to be giving more than we already are. But I believe we can do this. These examples, these families, these real life families did it. And it sounds so simple now when we listen to it, but for them it really worked. The first was a retired couple on a fixed income who absolutely didn't have anything extra to give, until one day they saw on TV a man who said he emptied his pockets every night of his loose change and put it in a jar. Now, he was doing it to demonstrate how inexpensive some insurance policy was, but that's not what they heard. They saw an opportunity to take money in their pockets that they might spend another day and take that money and dedicate it to God and give it as a gift to their building fund. And doesn't that sound simple? But they did this. They did this for a whole year. And their gifts accumulated in ways they couldn't imagine. The wife said she felt like sometimes it was raining money from heaven because they kept finding money in unexpected places in their house and in their car. And they always had a full jar to take to the bank and to give to the church. The second example is a family with children, a mortgage, car payments, all the obligations of a family. They both worked and they had a comfortable life, but what they lacked was confidence and what they lacked was faith. They already gave to the church. Giving more was something that they were hesitant to do. What if something was lurking around the corner that they were going to need to have the money for? Their faith just wasn't there. They went grocery shopping one night and happened to notice at the bottom of their receipt there was a statement that had been there forever, but they just didn't notice it. And it said, "You've saved $14.21 on this order." And below that was another statement that gave a cumulative amount that they had saved for the entire year. Now, it was just a figure on a piece of paper, but it jumped out to them as an opportunity to take this money that they didn't even realize they were saving and turn it over to God as a gift to the church. And they did that. And if you multiply 52 times $14.21, you've got a pretty good size donation for a year. The final example is a family that I grew up with 40 years ago. We were all teenagers then, so they're now old too. But they were a large family. There were 8 children, 6 boys and 2 girls. They were a very close-knit family, a very spiritual family, very dedicated to their church. Mom was a stay-at-home mom. Dad worked construction, and he was a very skilled craftsman, but construction in the 70s was kind of up and down. So they'd adopted a very frugal, conservative lifestyle. They never knew what was coming up. This family was a family of tithers. So when the building phase was proposed, new building phase was proposed, they could easily have said, well, we already tithe. We already give our 10%. But they didn't. They said, we want to give more. So that family, who already were stretched to the nth degree, got together and decided how they could give more to the church. They had a family meeting, and the kids asked a very important question to the mother. They said, "Mom, how much money can we save if we eat more macaroni?" She thought they were joking, but they weren't. And the more she thought about it, the more she thought that this was something they could do. So this family observed for the next year what they lovingly call, after 40 years, the year of the macaroni. And they saved their extra money that they would normally have spent on possibly protein, maybe some dessert, I don't know. But all of it went to the church, to the building fund, so they could be a part of that building fund. They say it was the best year of their lives. They grew closer, and Mom said she never got more compliments on her food during that year. Now, I give you these examples. They may not work for you, but they may spark something in you that says, I believe we can do this. There were 3 little boys on the playground playing, and they were all talking about their dads. The first one said, "My dad writes a few lines on a piece of paper. He calls it a poem, and he gets $50 for it." The second little boy said, "Well, I've got you beat there. My dad writes a few lines on a piece of paper, calls it a song, and he gets $100 for it." The third little boy said, "That's nothing. My father writes a few lines on a piece of paper and calls it a sermon. It takes 4 people to collect all the money." In the ensuing months, as we are living up to our stewardship goals, can we make our 4 people who collect all the money, can we make them work extra hard as they bring forth collection plates that are filled to overflowing with our love, our gifts, our dedication, and our sacrifice to the glory of God and to the future of this church. I believe we can do this.